Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself 2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome back. You're with Nelson Radio. I'm Nelson, and I'm with my special guest host, Shevy Akason from Evergreen Realty. And this segment of our show brought to you by our new sponsor, Chevy, STA Charter Jets, bringing you anywhere in the world, safe and on time. 888-888-2136, that you can reach us direct. 888-888-2136 or on nelsonradio.com. I wanted to spend a few minutes just sharing with everyone your background and how you conduct yourself in real estate. It's a different business model, and I just wanted to ask you some questions about that, specifically with what you do with the internet.
Fire away.
Fire away.
You just want to hear what I'm doing on the internet?
I just know that you run an internet-based business. You have how many web platforms?
9. 9 But I think you said we just added one.
Right.
So 10, I guess.
10 with Nelson Radio, exactly. So is that is that the future of our market, that everything's done online?
Yes and no. It's still a people business. We started in 2006. Larry Roberts, very smart guy, one of my partners, he started writing a blog telling people that, it's probably not the best time to buy real estate. And Drew and I were just chatting a little bit about this. But, we looked at what's called rental parity. So when it costs the same to own as it does to rent. And we were seeing in Irvine, for example, over a 6-year period, incomes only went up, I believe it was 17% in area code 92618. During the same time period, prices of real estate had tripled. We didn't see anything supporting the price that people were paying for homes when it was costing 2 to 3 times more to own than to rent. So that blog platform really has become the foundation for our business. Now we have buyers, as we get listings, we have buyers that come internationally. We have a huge presence. We have a database of well over 6,000 buyers that are looking to buy real estate in Orange County. A lot of them are well qualified. Some are looking to buy now. Some are looking to buy next year. Some are looking to buy 3 years from now. But because of our internet presence and our exposure, we're on the top of Google and Yahoo. And, as one of the youngest agents in my office out of over 1,000 agents, I have to contribute in large part to my internet presence that really separates me from everybody else, along with the information and knowledge that we provide through our fundamental valuation reports and understanding real estate and giving our clients an advantage.
So help our listeners understand this. Given that you and I are the same age, with the MLS properties, by the time that the properties go to market, they've sold, right? There's lines of people. So how are you bringing buyers to properties that,
unfortunately, that's true. I mean, that's a newer phenomenon. I'd say over the last 9 months that's become true. What I've had to do is change my business platform a little bit. I've had to network a lot more with guys that are buying, for example, the trustee sales, where the last step in the foreclosure process is the trustee sale. So if it doesn't go back to the bank, a lot of times the property is going to a third party, a trustee sale. They're paying cash. They make money in 2 ways. Number one, by selling the home for a lot more than what they buy it for. But number two, by turning their money over quite often. So if they can turn their money over 3 times a year versus 2 times a year, they make a lot better return for both themselves and their investors. So if they can bring their properties to me before they hit the market, before they've had to do the rehab, they're able to turn their property over an extra time every year. So they're able to sell it for a little bit less. So that gives a huge advantage to buyers that work with us because we can get them those properties before they're competing and getting overbid in the MLS.
I want you to give Shevy a call. He is very insightful. He has one of his hallmark phrases, unique selling propositions, a number of ways that you equip both sellers and buyers to go out and compete in this marketplace. You're listening to Nelson Radio. Chevy Akason with Evergreen Realty. This segment brought to you by STA Charter Jets. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or on nelsonradio.com. So in terms of how you're educating buyers, give us an idea. I know that you have the one guide in terms of mistakes not to make as a seller.
So, yeah, I mean, we have a number of different guides. We have different guides that'll educate. I have one I actually got in trouble with the other day, for sale by owner. We actually offered a guide to people who wanted to sell their house on their own. And, agents actually called in and they were very frustrated about this particular guide that we put out there. In reality, a lot of sellers don't realize everything that goes into selling their home.
Right.
So we put the guide out there. We're trying to find homes for our buyers with it by putting that out there. It's getting sellers to raise their hand and saying, I want to sell. But it's also helping sellers to recognize what actually goes into selling their home for top dollar and putting their home on the market. I had a client. He's my neighbor. He's a friend of mine. I work with him to help him buy properties. He unfortunately decided to do a for sale by owner. And in my opinion, he got at least 5% less than he would have if he would have marketed the home properly. And now he's going in to buy and we're competing with 8 to 10 buyers and he's seeing, oh my gosh, people are offering 5% or more above where the most recent comps have sold. I barely sold my house at where the comps sold. I could have probably got another 5% out of my home, and absolutely, he probably would have.
And you go through the media hype in terms of now all the media headlines are bringing attention to it's a seller's market, and the depth of the majority of sellers, I think, is that they think you can stab a sign in the front yard, and then there's just going to be crowd control of people throwing higher than asking price money at the property. That's not reality, is it?
There's a degree of truth to that, but there's more than that. I'm sure Drew can touch to this. If your property falls out of escrow, the chances are you're going to get less for it, even in this market. That could be argued in certain areas, but the last thing you want to do is have your property fall out of escrow. Part of what Drew and I's job is to look at not only the price, but also the terms and to really vet the potential buyers for a seller. And that can help them save tens of thousands of dollars. It can have them save a lot of time. We are going into spring and summer. I don't see it coming, but if more supply comes, the market, it changed on a dime in my market last January, February. Right. It can change really quick if people all of a sudden see, oh my gosh, it's a seller's market. I have equity, and all of a sudden people start putting their home on the market.
And there's one more other aspect to that, and that is really, listen, at the end of the day, my file when I sell your house is 2, maybe 3 inches thick. It's all legalese, and there's so many disclosures. Right. You know what? These for sale by owners don't realize how open they are to being sued. And that's why you want the agent, and you want someone who can help guide you through all the downfalls. It's one thing to find a buyer or a seller or find a home. That's just a small part of the process. The other is to guide you away from the bombs that can occur during an escrow.
And I think that goes back to what he talked about, the top 10% of agents. Drew is right. In reality, in my opinion, with 90% of the agents, you may actually be better off doing a for sale by owner. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. And we had some examples coming up here where sellers literally got less money because of how greedy their agent was than if they work with a good ethical agent. And so it is important that whoever you're working with is in the top 10%. A lot of people know a friend or a family member that are in real estate. A lot of those are part-time agents. And a lot of them, if they have an opportunity to represent the buyer and seller, even if it harms their client, may not do it.
Chevy, we're going to go into greater detail on that. We're going to bring Drew. He was crowding in on your segment, so we're going to bring Drew Gitlin back with us with Berkshire Hathaway, formerly Prudential California Realty. You're listening to Nelson Radio, brought to you by STA Charter Jets. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or go to nelsonradio.com and we'll be able to extend to you those 3 mistakes to avoid as a seller. We'll be right back.